floor is yours.
All right. Thank you all for having me today. My name is Greg Wolovich from Hanover Township, running for Luzerne County Council. I'm currently an assistant manager up at Wilkes-Barre Wegmans in the produce department. There I manage a team of employees. I know that the county manager right now is a big question, as it'll probably be up for selection next year. In my position at Wegmans, I do a lot of analysis of strengths, weaknesses of employees, and getting to know people and picking the right person for the job is going to be critical next year. I also have a bachelor's degree in accounting from King's College. With that, it goes a lot of budgeting in the county. I know with roads projects and different aspects that come up from the county manager presentations, it needs analysis. You need somebody that can look at things and understand what the numbers mean. Somebody who can ask pertinent questions that pertain to those numbers. I've actually been going on a tour of the county. I've talked with Eric about this extensively. I'm currently at 69 municipalities out of 76, so I'm looking to wrap that up next week. It's great getting to see different areas. I've been to Jeddo, I've been to New Columbus, Bear Creek Village Borough. Actually just sat down with Walter Mitchell, the mayor, there a couple weeks ago. It's great getting out to see the different communities, different diversity, different people that are out there in the county, different ways of life. Because in order to be a true representative, you need to understand who you're representing. You need to be able to sit there and answer a phone call from somebody from Black Creek Township, a farmer out there, or somebody who lives in the city of Pittston. They're all going to have different viewpoints, different aspects, and they all have different ideas. And you shouldn't be afraid as a county representative to represent anybody. You should be open to go out and see them, sit down with them, have these conversations, have discussions, getting to know mayors, council members, talking to people, public officials, different community groups. It's all about community. It's all about doing what's best for our community. And that's what I want to do on county council. I want to go in there, make decisions, important decisions. There's going to be tough decisions. And not everybody's always going to agree with me on the decisions I would make, but they'll always know why I did what I did. I'll be explaining things at meetings. I'll be answering questions, asking questions, making sure people have an understanding of what's going on and making sure that they're well informed. We need a transparent government, an accountable government, and we need somebody who's going to sit there, not just shake their head yes and no, but let people know why they're doing what they're doing. And that's how I'll be a good representative for the people of Luzerne County.
Okay. Now you've gone through a campaign before. Was it?
This is the third time, actually.
Just the third time you're running for county council.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned in those previous campaigns?
Well,
People put you over the top this time.
You learn a little bit from every race, and I learned the importance, like I said, of networking. Going out, talking to different county officials, different local officials, borough councils, borough mayors, and regardless of political party, it shouldn't matter. It's all for the betterment of the community. Talking to people across the aisle, making sure that decisions are being made with everybody's viewpoints in mind. There might be something that I have no idea about, but my friend, my colleague sitting across the aisle might be an expert on it, and I'm not just going to drown them out because they're a different party. We need to work together. We need to work together to make these important decisions. I've learned that going out and actually being in the communities, with my tour of the county, getting to see different areas of the county, getting to talk to different people, getting their viewpoints. I talked to a resident last week in Black Creek Township about the road conditions. They were a little upset because they said, oh, Butler Township got that all redone, it's going back to the township, we want something like that done. Now if I didn't go down there, would they ever come to a meeting and make that viewpoint known? I'm not sure. So that's why I want to make sure that I have a presence in the different communities, making sure that being a true representative, somebody that actually knows their constituents.
You talked about the county manager, which obviously will be a big decision.
Oh, absolutely.
Next year. What, if elected, would you be looking for in a county manager?
Well, in the county manager, you need somebody who has an understanding of business management. That's going to be very important. Being able to look at a group of people, be able to select department heads, department managers, making sure that a good solicitor on council, they need somebody who can make good decisions, be able to look at a budget and understand the budget, understand how the numbers work. I mean, you need to make sure that your county is being run in a manner that is perceivable to the people as, fiscally responsible. You need somebody who's going to go in there and be able to differ between what we want and what we need. We need a good county manager that can understand things like coming from an accounting background, understand the points of depreciation. When you buy an asset, you have to understand the longevity and the repairs that it's going to need. You need to be able to think forward thinking, not just in the moment. You need to be able to plan ahead. Somebody who has a broad view of the county too. I think it would be better to have somebody locally as well, somebody who has an understanding of our environment, how our communities are run.
So last night, council passed, or they didn't pass, excuse me, but Ramilda Krogmo introduced a budget with no tax increase. That's the second year in a row that there's been no tax increase proposed in the budget. But Ramilda was very open about the fact that she said there's no way that could happen for a third time next year. Now, if you're on council at this time next year, then it's going to be up to you to make that decision. Do you have any thoughts and ideas on how you could go about reducing the tax increase, any potential future tax increase, or any potential spending or expense line items in general?
Well, again, being from an accounting background, you need to be able to go through the numbers, be able to understand the numbers. You know, you need to talk to your department heads and say, listen, be forward with them. Do we really need this? Is this something you just want, or is this something that the county needs? There's a lot of things in this county that people look at it. I mean, people from Wilkes-Barre might say, oh, do we really need this out in Black Creek or out up in Pittston? You know, you need to realize you need to do things for the betterment of the whole community. I know different areas are going to need different things to look at. I want to be able to break down the budget, go through, like you said, line by line, analyze the numbers, look at the budget. And another thing that goes along too is budget transfers. They go on back and forth, back and forth. When a department sets a budget, they need to be able to stick to that budget. You know, they set that budget with plans in mind. You need to be able to stick to plans, stick to the goal. And I want to make sure that the department heads and department chairs and all the employees are under the realization that, listen, if I'm going to set a budget, you need to be able to stick to a budget. And I think that that will help curb excess spending.
What would you be looking for the next county manager? What qualities?
Like I said, like I went over before, the business management, that's going to be a huge asset for a county manager. Somebody who understands the inner workings of a business. Like, I mean, I work at Wegmans. I mean, I'm just a small manager there, assistant manager. But in the manager's role, you need to be able to understand strengths and weaknesses for county department heads. I mean, that's going to be your backbone. You need somebody who can build a strong team, a good backbone. You need to be able to have people you can trust, respect, people that are well qualified, somebody who can differentiate between this person and this person, because there's always going to be multiple applicants for a job. But understanding that you have the strongest team in your back court, in your court, that's what you need. Somebody who understands your team, somebody who can work together, cohesive, somebody who can make strong decisions and be able to back up those decisions. Somebody who's not afraid to explain, listen, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I may not be an expert in this field, but I'll go out, I'll ask questions, I'll get opinions. I mean, I'll be open to different opinions, different viewpoints. Somebody who's willing to listen. Somebody who's willing to look at a problem and be able to find multiple solutions, or a solution that involves multiple viewpoints.
Now, there's been some discussion on the county level about a vaccine mandate, even though the county manager says she has no intention of imposing one. But you know, it appears that at some point the federal government is moving in that direction, however slowly. What's your position on that? If there's some kind of federal mandate for large employers like the county to
Well,
impose a vaccine mandate?
I believe in the county charter it talks about the well-being of the residents of Luzerne County. Now, I think it also talks about freedoms of the people of Luzerne County, and I think people should be allowed to make those decisions on their own. I mean, now something like a mask mandate, that's a little different. You're not forcing somebody to take something that they're not comfortable with. Now, I believe that everybody in this country has a freedom. They have the choice to make. I have no problem with vaccines. I think people, if you want your vaccine, go, take it. Good for you. Go out there and promote health and wellness. But some people just don't feel comfortable. Some people feel they have pre-existing conditions that might affect it. I know there's been talks about heart problems coming along with vaccines, and people with heart problems might not feel comfortable taking them. And I think with a vaccine mandate, I don't think it's something that should be mandated on people. That should be a personal choice, personal decision.
But if the feds impose it, then what does the county do?
The county's going to have to stand up for themselves.
You've been vaccinated?
I have not.
And why not?
I already had the COVID.
Okay.
Not back in May.
Sorry, not to
No,
make it
that's
too personal. But
No, it's okay. I just feel that it's not for me, and that's how I feel everybody should have that right.
Okay.
Speaking of the county charter, some people are of the opinion that charter needs to be amended now.
Mhm.
But if you were to get on council at that point, it would have been 10 years since the charter took effect. And one issue some people have brought up is that maybe some council members should be elected by districts as opposed to countywide. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I've actually brought that up, I believe, in one of my first runs for council. You know, I believe there should be an at-large aspect, but there should also be representative districts. I think the council should also be decreased in size. I think it'd be good to have 4 representative districts and 3 at-large, so that way we would have 7 council members. I think that provides, like I said, more representation, because you can have all 11 members right now from the city of Wilkes-Barre, the borough of Kingston, which has been very concentrated in those areas in the past few years, I noticed. And I think it'd be good to have different people from different areas so they can truly represent different aspects of Luzerne County. That way, per se, maybe you can have a farmer from Black Creek or Sugarloaf, someone down there who has feel for their communities, feel for what they need, and I think that'd be good to have more of a representative government.
Do you have any thoughts on what's been going on with the Children and Youth Agency, and there's an ongoing review after the former director was charged with crimes and was terminated?
I think it's a shame. Our children deserve better. We need somebody to go do a thorough investigation of children and youth, because these cases can't be just swept under the rug. Our children are our future. Our children are our responsibility. And on council, they should be upset. They should be outraged at what happened to children and youth. These poor lives are being put at risk, and there's no need for that. I mean, there's some cases, you know, that people will just call children and youth just because they're upset with their partner. But there's other issues out there, pertinent issues, people in horrid living conditions, people that have had children and youth visits that they just go away, and then something happens to the children later on down the road. We need to be preventing those things. We need to make sure that the county looks at children and youth, finds a good director, and make sure that we move that in the right direction. It's a total shame right now what's going on with our children in this county. And again, like I said, with future, we need to plan ahead, plan for our future. And with our children in conditions like that, there may not be a future. And unfortunately, when they grow up in those kinds of situations, then they might turn to the wrong crowd. They need good mentors, good people to look up to.
There have been a lot of issues with the election board and previous elections here lately. What's your take on what's happening there and the turnover, and do you have any concerns about the November 2nd election?
Well, personally, I think that we should be okay in November. I think that the department needs to find an election director who's willing to sit in that role and stay in that role. Somebody who's willing to develop a team. Now, there's been, like you said, there's been a lot of turnover in the election bureau. I mean, I'm down there all the time, and I see new faces every time I'm down there. I think we need a consistent department, a consistent election board. I think that would greatly help our viewpoint of the election board. Because recently I know that Dave Parsnick resigned, Bob Morgan resigned, and I think it was Missy Thomas resigned. Now, that's concerning. That's, especially all at the same time. It is concerning. And I think we need to find people to fill those roles who will stand up for our rights. I mean, voting is sacred in this country. I haven't missed an election since I was 18. And I feel that it's very important. Getting out to vote is important. Now, I would never say to anybody, don't go vote. People say all the time, well, I don't trust the system. I can't go vote. Well, if you don't vote, you will not vote. So I want to tell people, you know, you need to get out and vote. You need to have your say. And I believe the system should be fine for November.
What do you think of the decision by the county council to join in that lawsuit against the election board over the DA election, and how would you have voted if you were on the board?
I would have went along with it. I mean, I believe that the election should have never happened. I believe, like, when a vice president steps in for the president, they don't have a special election. Now, that's how it was set up, is for the assistant district attorney to take over to fulfill the remainder of the term. And it was too close. There was no primary election. Candidates were not able to be selected by the people. They were selected by the party. And I think it should have been up to the people. If it was in the primary, it would have been fine.
Do you have any thoughts on the idea that the deputy DA is not an elected position the way the vice president is?
Well, if you think about it, the vice president is actually chosen by the president when he selects his running. Well, I believe it's up to not the electoral college. When they go to the convention, the president. It's not really a vote from the people. It's a vote from the people at the convention. So, in an aspect, the vice president isn't really elected. He's elected along with the president.
The council has approved a lot of LERTAs and a couple of KOZ tax abatement proposals for developers coming into the county. in the past few years. Do you have any thoughts on whether you support that in general?
Keystone Opportunity Zones, I believe there needs to be more regulation, making sure that these people stay after their term is up. Because I've always been afraid of people coming in, taking the tax forgiveness, taking the most out of it, and then just picking up and leaving afterwards. And I'm afraid that there needs to be, like I said, more regulation. They need to make sure that these people are staying in our communities, providing jobs for our people, and making sure they're a staple in the community, not just picking up and leaving afterwards.
Now, you've done a lot of traveling in your campaign. Have you raised much money? Are you campaigning with other Republicans, or, you know?
Well, right now I'm pretty much just going out on my own. What I'm doing is I'm taking friends along with me, people who are known in their communities, going door knocking, talking to as many people as I can. I mean, as obviously we need Republicans on there, as my viewpoint as the Republican chairman of the 121st District. But I mean, I need to get on council. I need to make decisions. I need to be able to be on there. I need to make sure that I'm there. That's the most important thing right now, because I see myself as a representative of the people. Like, that's why I do all this traveling. I go out there to make sure that people's needs are being met from all over the county. I don't want to be just sitting in an office and say, oh, well, this is the best thing for the county, without talking to anybody. I want to make sure that I'm open to the people. I'm open to phone calls. I'm open to conversations. I'm not afraid that, obviously, once I visit my 76th municipality, I can't say that I've never been there. And I think some people on council haven't even been to some of these municipalities, even in our local areas that are closer, easy to get to. I think they need more access to their candidates, their access to their representatives. And that's what I would provide as a council member.